Whoa, whoa. What's good? Osiris here. I am live. Got a couple nice topics for you. How's everybody doing? Got my coffee mug. A little nothing like a little product placement to start the show off. Casual Goats has entered the chat. I didn't get to go back to the Discord. Casual Goats, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. In the Discord, Casual Goats was talking about some music. We do have a Discord server. I'm really excited about it, and I will continue to give props to Casual Goats for shouting it out. And it was his idea, like, hey, let's do a Discord. So I like that. We can continue the chat, the conversation, and let's talk music in there for sure. My goodness. Got a lot of music fans on the channel. I'm a hip hop fan, quite a few hip hop fans here as well. Let's do this. What is exciting? What is going on? I really only have 3 prepared topics, and one of them is very short. Chilling on lunch. Well, thank you for joining while you're on lunch, Casual Goats. Anybody else listening? Thank you for stopping by, even if it's for 2 seconds. I'm gonna get started with the main one. This live won't be as long as some of the other ones, but hopefully we get good conversation. Actually made it for this. You know I mess up names all the time. Is it Rafe Marshall has entered the chat, listening while I work? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. While I was working today, I was listening to, of course, Tim Pool. I listened to Eric July yesterday, not today. Tim Pool touched on some things I'm going to talk about. And I think I'm going to take it in a little different direction than he did. We were talking about the banks being frozen out in Canada. So I'm just going to touch on that and then show you. We talked about this yesterday, the difference between what's happening in Canada and what's happening now in the U.S. There are some slight differences, in my opinion. Thank you for making it. Yes, Rafe. I just got it right, that I'm going to mess it up. Rafe, thank you, sir. Let's get into it. Let's do a gentle topic to start. I always like to kind of do a gentle topic. Before I come down here, my wife always has something to say. She's got a lot to say. I told her I don't want her on the podcast. It's just too risky out here stating your opinions. If you state an opinion that's not with the establishment, you are putting yourself at risk. Now, it doesn't matter how respectful you are or anything else. Don't get it twisted. So I was like, just don't even worry about. And for those who don't know, my wife is white, so she doesn't even have like the double standard, which I don't agree with. But I can talk about critical theory a lot stronger than she can, in my opinion. I'm not immune though from getting canceled. That's for damn sure. Yeah, let's look at 50. The Super Bowl kind of ramifications are still going on, and none of it's about the game. I haven't heard much of anything about the game. I don't really watch ESPN. It's weird. I used to watch ESPN back in the day, like 24/7. Like it really started in college. I had ESPN on in the morning, came back from class, ESPN on, just had it on in the background, great background channel. And now I don't even watch it. I don't even know what's happening on ESPN. Life changes, things change. But we're still seeing ramifications. And of course, the ramifications have nothing to do with the game. 50 Cent is out here still getting attacked. And I want to try to defend the man in a way. I'm a big 50 fan. I made a controversial statement the other day. Hopefully my mic sounds good, y'all. I made a controversial statement. I was talking about 50 Cent. This was years, probably a couple. I was on Facebook at the time, so it's probably 3 years ago. And I said 50 is one of the greatest of all times. I think 50 is in my top 10. And he just has to be. And a lot of it's because he chooses great beats. He has a great ear. And as much as I like lyrics, if your beat is whack, I'm not fighting through your song to hear your incredible lyrics. So the first thing I listen to is the musicality of it. Then we get into lyrics. So, but 50, I think, is one of the greatest of all time with his catalog hits. Even after these old songs, his other like mixtapes, like he's come out, I haven't heard one of his in like 3 to 5 years, but even those were dope. This song in Power is dope. So I gotta defend 50. 50 reacts to being body shamed. Why are y'all out here body shaming 50? After the Super Bowl, it's days after. So what you see, what you're looking at here is 50 Cent on the right and Bizarre from D12 on the left. So 50 Cent came down and it was dope. He recreated it's not iconic, but the memorable, because the song is like one of the greatest pop songs of all time. He recreated the scene in the club where he was up, came from upside down, the intro. And he looks different now. Like we get older, y'all. Like everybody can't be Mario Lopez, okay? We're all not Lawrence Tate. Like I told my wife, like these dudes look exactly the same, like in '96. Everybody can't be them. So why are you turning 50 into Bizarre from D12? If you don't know, Bizarre from D12 is a dope MC. Haven't heard from him in a while, but he's large. He's a large man. So people had jokes, and I'm like, man, come on, don't body shame my dude. People said 50 looks like he was hit by 50 Cent looks like he was hit by inflation. 50 Cent looking like a whole dollar bill. Come on, y'all. You know looks like 50 Cent has been spending a lot of time at the candy shop. If you don't know, he has a song called The Candy Shop. Stop. Commented another person they're talking about. He's 46. I'm 44. We're in the same age group. We gotta defend each other, man. There's no need for that. I guarantee you see how 50 looks right here? I guarantee you he lost 10 to 15 pounds just to look like that. So give the brother some credit. How do I know? I'm in the same boat. My wife live during the show started trying to make some joke like 50 look like this or that. I was like, hold up. This is what I looked like when I was 18. And now I look like Lovey Smith. Things change. Get off my boy. And at least 50 had fun with it. People tried to say 50 was getting annoyed by it. He wasn't annoyed by it. He didn't care. He posted on Instagram. He was like, who did this? On the Bizarre, he was like, who did this on that tweet, that meme? But then after it, he was like, y'all better catch Power every week at this time. It was just a marketing ploy. He didn't care. Let me know what you think. What's up? Yeah, I don't see him. It's like, yeah, thank you. I'm gonna own that too. I'm gonna tell my wife I'm just a little bulky. I'm not Bizarre from D12. And that's Rock Prep 11. Thank you for the comment. Get Rich or Die Trying was one of the first CDs Rafe Marshall ever bought. Good times, man. That's a classic album. Banger after banger on Get Rich or Die Trying. And it was another album I didn't like at first. Now, I was a hip-hop purist. We're going to get into Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai in a second. And I was kind of like a hip-hop purist back then. I'm not that anymore. And so it was kind of tough because he had some pop success and I was kind of almost anti-pop. I look back at it, I'm like, don't be anti-pop just to be anti-pop. There's dope pop. So I grew, I matured in my approach to music. And Get Rich or Die Trying, what up gangster, the joint with Eminem, Many Men was my joint. Woo, that was a joint. Many Men. And then one of my favorite songs, what was it? In My Hood. Was that on there? Was In My Hood on that? Whichever. In My Hood was my joint, man. That was my joint. 21. Woo! 50. Don't underestimate 50. Get off this, man. Thank you. Somebody out here help me just think. Rock, stop joking, man. No. I like bulky better. We're bulky. I'm not going to go to my wife and say I'm not fat, I'm just thick. No, I'm not doing that. She's going to clown me. Oh, man. Have your significant other ever dropped hints to you? Like my wife, her hobby right now is really working out, which is great. My hobby is this. But she'll be like, hey, I'm going to the gym. You want to come too? I'm like, damn, is it that bad? No, it is bad. I'd be like, damn. She'd be like, hint, I'm going to the gym. You got some free time? But no, in all seriousness, since the pandemic hit, I want to get serious. I've been walking. I'm going to do gym at least 4 days a week is what my goal is on the real. Oh, man. Let's get into Dr. Ayyadurai. He did an upload recently. He did an upload recently on YouTube, and I just saw it. I was shoveling snow, got snowed in here, and I listened to every second of it. It was captivating. I think he is a very credible person, and I think he's somebody who is worth listening to. And I think right now, he reminds me of Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, where he's like, look, here are some of the problems, and nobody's paying attention. So that's why I wanted to highlight him today. And when we get into this topic, let me get Fiddy up. Fiddy, can I get you off the screen? When I talk about this topic, I want to be clear. 45 is done. I mean, as far as 2020, that is over. Whether you like it or not, Joe is your president. You are going to get sloppy Joe, and you will have to. You could call him Brandon if you want, but you better call him President Brandon, because that's who he is. This is the Game of Thrones. So we just have to have real talk. It's over. 2020 is over. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't look back to see what needs to be done for the future. The establishment's not playing games. They're out here just doing it all. The return of Hillary Clinton, she's just everywhere. From allegedly spying to this, to the BLM, Clinton world involved with that. She's everywhere. We know who's running things now. We can't look back. It's over. It's 2022. We're primary season. Acknowledge it. He's your president. It's just like Game of Thrones. Whoever sits on the throne has the throne. It doesn't matter how they got there. That's life. Whoever your boss is, he's your boss or she's your boss. It doesn't matter how they got there. So I'm not, and if you have that agenda, I'm nothing against you. I'm just saying that's not where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from that standpoint. I'm coming from, let's look at the future. So that's how I want to look at this stuff. And I think he's the most credible that I know of, who's most fair-minded and credible. I'm just going to share this screen with you. This is the video. If you go to YouTube, Dr.SHIVA Live, EchoMail audit of ballot images from 2020 race in Maricopa County. Why now? I put a link in the description to this video to the actual report that he came out with. And I'm going to go through some clips here and talk about it. I'm just going to play some short clips. That video is like, 2 hours long. So obviously I'm not playing the whole thing. I'm just trying to narrow it down to what I think matters the most. I think we all have origin stories. What I mean by that is like superhero stuff. How did you get here? How did you find this channel? How did you become passionate about whatever you're passionate about? Casual goats, welding. There's an origin. We all have origin stories. I've kind of touched on mine. I should do an origin video. Mine was the George Floyd stuff. When the pandemic hit, we were all supposed to be inside, all, separated and all that stuff. No one should have been outside. Then all of a sudden, the George Floyd thing happened. People went outside, and we had medical doctors saying it was okay because it was social justice. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You got me locked up. You got people sent home from work. You got essential workers. Are you talking about some damn social justice? That's what it looks like to you? And I was like, I got to read about this. What is going on in the world? And then here we are today. Here's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai's, you could call it just a little bit of his origin story.
Oh, sorry, September of 2020. Many of you may know I ran for office in the Republican primary, and where we clearly saw that a landslide victory, which was due to us from all the hard work we did, 3,000 volunteers on the ground, the immense work we did was by the work of the Massachusetts GOP. And we discovered on September 9th of 2020 that the elections office in Massachusetts had deleted ballot images. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that started my journey as someone, as a person who had who still has great love for this country, but wanted as a scientist and an engineer to run for office, and an engineering systems person to recognize that the election systems in this country have serious problems. Particularly, election officials can violate election laws by deleting what are called ballot images. So you're going to learn what those are. So that started my journey between September of 2020 to the present day, to really understanding election systems, and as we would understand any engineering system.
So there was a consequence to allegedly something that happened when he ran. I just want to make sure I'm careful when I talk about this stuff. The consequence was, just like a superhero, I'm not calling him a superhero, but I'm just using that as an example, is that you got him passionate. You got this man passionate about what the hell is going on. Something doesn't feel right. That's a consequence from the establishment. Canada's under that consequence right now. They played around too much with people's rights, and the truckers said, what the hell is going on? Here's what we're going to do. And it's a lot of people in that realm right now. Tough times can create and bring out stuff in people that they didn't even know they had in them. So that's why I think Alphabet, Twitter, Facebook, they have done some censorship and gone full blown. They're trying to do more of this shadow banning and stuff like that. Because you start banning people outright, then you start forcing them to do things that they didn't know they had in them, like start their own platform, like Gab. So you go ahead and start banning everybody. You're going to start to see greatness. Marvel, you go ahead and race swap every character. Now you got Eric July making his own stories. Be careful what you do. And that's how this man got passionate about it. Everybody has that story. I think in all walks of life. Another thing, this man is credentialed. He is no slouch.
For those of you who don't know me, my background is an engineer in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT, in visual studies. And this is actually a master's in visual studies out of the MIT Media Lab, a master's in mechanical engineering, where I did a lot of computational work, as well as in biological engineering.
So this man is credentialed. MIT PhD. Doesn't mean everything, because a lot of the place where we're at now is because of PhDs, like Ibram X. Kendi and Nicole Hannah-Jones. Those are the ones I always bring up, but there's many others. But he's not any slouch. So don't let anybody discredit him like he doesn't know what he's talking about or doing. That won't work. So what are we kind of looking at here? This is in regards to Arizona. We're back there. I don't live in Arizona, but I think the whole country, even the world, could learn from what's going on there. What worked, what didn't work. Here's what the agenda was with Dr. Shiva.
And today you're going to learn a lot about ballot images. What are ballot images? Why are they central when an audit is done? And the questions are, why wasn't this done first in the Maricopa audit? Why were we delayed in getting the images? Why were the images essentially, when we got them, corrupted? Okay, so there's a lot of very interesting questions on that side, but more importantly, I hope this serves as a way for policymakers to understand the importance of what's going on in the field of artificial intelligence, which is used in election voting systems.
That caught my attention because I had no idea until I was shoveling snow this morning and he said that. And if you follow the channel, I haven't talked about it as much as I really want to or should, but I'm very big into tech and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And when I'm going to bring that back, imagine me listening to this and him bringing up AI. And I'm like, AI? What?
Very interesting questions on that side, but more importantly, I hope this serves as a way for policymakers to understand the importance of what's going on in the field of artificial intelligence, which is used in election voting systems. Number two, for the public to really understand the scope of what goes on when you put a ballot in and what goes on from the time the ballot goes into the tabulators to how the vote is calculated. And this is something, and frankly, it should be taught in civics class. And why it's important to do that part of the audit. You're also going to learn the various issues we discovered and what this means to all Americans. So I hope this is helpful. So
that really caught my attention. What a comment there. He said it should be taught in civics class. I never learned any of this in civics. It should be taught. How this process works should be taught. I don't need to get in depth, but we should know basically how it works. I had no idea. At least Arizona, every state might be a little bit different, but I'm sure there's more similarities than not. Had no idea until I listened to this video. But there's other people out there. The Convo Couch, one of my favorite channels, with Pasta and Fiorella. They know House. They know all about this. They taught me a lot about this stuff too. What you need to take away from this is, you might hear people say, well, they counted the votes, they recounted the votes. A recount of an election is not an audit. It's not even close. It just recounts the ballots, including any potential that shouldn't have been counted. I just want to choose my words carefully. So if it was gunk, it just recounts the gunk. So that's nice to do, but that's not even beginning to audit anything. It's like taking a tax return and just adding it up to see if the numbers add up. That's not an audit. So don't let anybody come back and say, well, they counted, then they counted again, and they counted again. How many times are they going to count? Man, you don't know what you're talking about. A lot of these people are so arrogant, don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And I'm not talking about people on this channel. I'm talking about mostly establishment bootlick types. Just so arrogant. And what happens is the media feeds them that ammo, and they feel like, because the media will have headlines like, look what's happening in Arizona. They're counting again. Oh, they counted again. And oh, Biden got even more votes. That's not an audit. It doesn't even mean anything. As you'll see as we continue going on. This is a theme that we're going to talk about throughout a couple more times, but there are grifters on both sides, all sides. And the grifters that are coming from the non-establishment to grift this into money, power, fame, whatever, they're a problem.
I have to emphasize there's three groups of people in the election integrity movement. One is the people who deny there's any problems. The second are the grifters. Horrible people. They know that there's a real problem. They don't want to address the real problem. They've been making money off of it. And people have been funding these people. And initially I thought it was just incompetence, but I believe it's more than incompetence. I believe it's more nefarious. And those grifters have been at it to hide the real issue. This audit in Maricopa should have begun with ballot image analysis, and it didn't. And in fact, we were contracted for it and we weren't given the images that I'll talk about. But the big, now millions of dollars, as I said, were spent on the paper ballot counting, which revealed the numbers, were pretty much the same. While self-serving grifters, raised money for themselves and misdirected attention from real issues. And there are some major, major issues here that everyone should be concerned about. These are the real issues: chain of custody and signature verification, which another major report is forthcoming. This diagram represents the entire process, the real fundamental, the guts of the process that occurs when a paper ballot, after the envelope is opened, okay? So we're not talking about what happens in the envelope image. That's a whole nother thing before this, but paper ballot is put through the tabulators, a ballot image is created right here. Then this is what I want people to understand in a very profound way. The machines have an artificial intelligence of digital image processing that literally analyzes this image and decides what the votes are. These are called pre-adjudicated. And then anything that it has doubts on, which could be write-ins, are always considered adjudicated, undervotes, overvotes, and ambiguous. And you're going to understand what those are. Those get adjudicated by humans. And then after all of this, you get the canvas report, which is the final vote count. But just think about what I'm sharing with you here. This is a process. And the ballot image analysis, long before you go, spending tens of millions of dollars, a tremendous amount of time, should be what you want to do, the ballot image analysis. And this is why I believe these election officials.
So what he's saying is that they wasted a ton of money and time. That was one of my concerns in one of my videos from a while back. I said, it's nice that Arizona did this audit, but damn, how much money and time did it take? That's not feasible. So it's good. I want to get information from it. I want to learn from it. And we learned a lot from it. But most of the stuff we learned from it isn't really getting projected out there. It's all this other BS. So I said, this doesn't help long term, because I would want every election to be audited. So one of the things we have to learn is, how do we trim this process down to make sure to audit every election? He's talking about you didn't need to do all that stuff they did, all this show with them in the room counting all the ballots. It turns out it was all for show, at least in his opinion. And from what I've read on it, I agree. It was a waste of time. It was all for show. He was like, the first thing you should have done was this. When the ballots are scanned, they are counted after that by the AI. So why are you counting them before? He said, all you have to do is start with this first, and then we can narrow down on the places that needed to be done. I'm going to get into cyber ninjas in a second. Sorry about that mute. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm going to get into cyber ninjas.
Do not want to give these ballot images. But in Maricopa, the ballot images were made available. And they were not made available to us by the audit organization who had them in their possession. So why did they do this?
That's cyber ninjas he's talking about. Not the county or the government. He's talking about cyber ninjas.
Do not want to give these ballot images. But in Maricopa, the ballot images were made available. And they were not made available to us by the audit organization who had them in their possession. So why did they do this? Did they want to do paper ballots and raise a lot of money? Were they concerned that if we did the ballot images, it would have shown everything was fine, that you would have had to focus on the non-grifter issues? This is a very important question that we must bring to the forefront.
So he was hired. So he was subcontracted. They contracted with cyber ninjas to do the audit. Cyber Ninjas subcontracted his group, EchoMail, I think EchoMail, whatever it's called. They contracted him. You'll hear maybe later, I think in the clips, Cyber Ninjas never paid him. What happened to Cyber Ninjas? If you might have seen this, but what happened to Cyber Ninjas? They went defunct. Cyber Ninjas, company that oversaw the, this is a CNN headline, so whatever. They call it partisan. Partisan Arizona election review is shuttering. The thing I like about Timcast is he edits all that nonsense out. So when you go to timcast.com, he's doing his own news stuff. He's like, I don't want to see partisan in the headline, whether it might be true or not. It's opinion. The Cyber Ninjas firm that oversaw, let me just make sure I'm not on mute, that oversaw the problem-plagued review of the 2020 results is shuttering. Rod Thompson, a representative for the Cyber Ninjas, confirmed to CNN that the company is shutting down. Thompson said $2 million debt from the Arizona audit and endless legal and character attacks on the company by those who oppose the audit make it untenable moving forward. I'm telling you, I think Cyber Ninjas, something was up with them. It was a plant. They felt like, I know Hillary's everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if she came up in this. Allegedly, I'm just joking. I'm just saying. She's just coming up everywhere. So I'm just like, is Hillary behind this? There's no proof of that. I'm just joking. If you don't come up everywhere, then I won't joke about you coming up everywhere. She's getting on my nerves. But the Cyber Ninjas, they talked about all the criticism they faced. I think something was up with them. I don't know if they were a plant. You're going to hear on some of these clips why I feel that way. Especially when we get to the clip about the timeline. Let's might as well just do that right now. We'll talk about the timeline, and then he has a little Trump story in this one too.
So as I mentioned, the project history, April of 2021, Cyber Ninjas had the disk drives from the county containing the bona fide ballot images, as well as a disk image. So this disk image on the blue was the entire server system image, but they also had, the most important thing is they had the disk drives with the bona fide ballot images. Okay? So the next, on June 5th of 2021, the Arizona State Senate contacted us to discuss commissioning EchoMail for the analysis of the Dominion ballot images. On July of 2021, a verbal agreement was reached that we would be a subcontractor to Cyber Ninjas. The last week of July, we actually got what's called a cast vote record, which is the documentation of how votes were tabulated in what's called a JSON format. And then on August, within 1st, 2021, within 48 hours, our team worked very fast, brought them into a relational data structure. So we were able to have a recreation of the entire election. And we requested Cyber Ninjas for the ballot images. On August 5th,
okay, let me interrupt to make sure that, because I don't want it to just drone out. He's going through the timeline of what happened. And Bishop, you made me laugh, man. Just before I do that, Bishop was like, oh man, now you got to write a letter saying you love life after mentioning Hillary's name, man. It's funny, but it's not funny. I'm gonna write that letter. I'm gonna do a YouTube post. I love life, man. I don't want to go anywhere.
Formal contract.
So he's going through a timeline, and then Donald Williams, thank you for the feedback. I'm not an expert on Cyber Ninjas, so if I'm out of school, please tell me. But here, I gotta tell you why my concern is with this. I don't know if it was Doug Logan or what. I don't know what happened, but he's going through the timeline. So Cyber Ninjas came in April. That's what he's talking about there. Then he goes through the timeline even more, and I'll probably just stop this clip. I don't want it to drone on. Then he's going through June. He's like, okay, Arizona State Senate contacts EchoMail, that's EchoMail, to discuss commissioning EchoMail for their pattern recognition. They can study large clumps of data and look at patterns that don't make sense, that need to be explained. They don't accuse anybody of anything. They just say, this data doesn't look right. Explain what it is. These are anomalies. So there was a verbal agreement between EchoMail to serve as a subcontractor for Cyber Ninjas. So last week of July, EchoMail receives cast vote records. I'll go over what that is later. So they received records from Cyber Ninja in July. We go fast forward. August, after 48 hours of receiving that data, EchoMail builds this structure, and then they request the ballot images. Then the contract executed between them was in August for $50,000. He said they never paid him. On August 9th, Cyber Ninjas uploads the ballot images for EchoMail to begin processing. They discover within hours something's not right. 70% of the ballot images are corrupted or unusable. But the way that this is spelled out, Cyber Ninjas had to know that. Is what he's alleging. And he's credible here. So then Cyber Ninjas says to EchoMail, they were encrypted. Then EchoMail goes back and says, no, they're not encrypted. They're probably at this point like, what the hell's happening? Like, this is not complicated stuff. Then Cyber Ninjas go back and said, oh, yeah, they're corrupted. You were right. Then EchoMail says, they inform Cyber Ninja that the project's on hold until we get the right ballots. We can't do it. In another life, I used to scrub data, so I kind of have an idea what they're doing. I would get data from a company about all the employees' age group, and then I would scrub it to make sure there's no one that's 200 years old or something like that. So later on, Cyber Ninjas go silent. They're like, wait, we need the right data. From August 9th to the 19th, Cyber Ninjas does not communicate with them. Does that sound no? Because they're like, wait, that's too long. 10 days, nobody even talking to us. Obviously, they're not going to pay us. They informed, then his group is EchoMail. They informed, hopefully, this is a deep dive, but hopefully it just got to get deep a little bit. Then he went to the Arizona Senate, Dr.SHIVA, said, hey, we got corrupted ballot images. And then the county is blamed by Cyber Ninjas. Cyber Ninjas said the county gave us the corrupt data. Then in September, EchoMail was commissioned by the state senator to do signature stuff. Then they presented the results in September. I did a video, I think, around that time. This is the first I'm hearing of all this stuff. So in November, Randy Pullen, Arizona State liaison, is able to locate the bona fide ballot images from Ben Cotton and makes arrangements for EchoMail to get ballot images. So let me go back and let him speak because I'm probably going to miss a couple things.
Frankly, made even first payment. On August 19th, we terminated that agreement and informed the Arizona Senate liaison of the corrupted ballot images. And Cyber Ninjas went public and blamed the county for corrupting the ballot images. Okay? When they actually had in their possession the actual uncorrupted ballot images. On September 1st, 2021, we were commissioned by the Arizona State Senate.
So you heard what he said. He said Cyber Ninjas had the accurate ballot images the whole time. So we have a little bit of disagreement. I'm not proclaiming to be some expert in this. I'm just a guy in the basement who's been reading and seeing this stuff. So I could be wrong. But right now, when I'm talking about this here, narrowing it down to this, I believe Shiva. He didn't get paid. Cyber Ninjas they're defunct now. So when you look at the timeline where Shiva went to Cyber Ninjas went to Shiva went to Cyber Ninjas, what does that sound like? That sounds like somebody who's stalling. That's what it looks like to me from Cyber Ninjas. It looks like somebody who doesn't want to give Shiva the data he needs because they know he can process it in a month. And there will be whatever problems they don't want. Why would they go through the whole recount when they know they should have done the ballot images first? I'm sorry, but all this looks like Cyber Ninjas. They're the ones looking shady to me. We gotta be careful. There's going to be snakes out here. In this populist rise, there are going to be snakes in the grass. And they're going to be snakes that we might have thought were great. I, at one point, thought AOC was great. And she's a monster in the grass. Democratic establishment monster. I'm going to let him tell the Trump story and keep going.
for signature presence detection on a new project on the envelope images. And on the 24th of September 2021, we presented that information, but we also exposed various anomalies, new questions on signature verification. On the 19th through the 23rd, November 23rd of 2021, we persisted to find out where the uncorrupted ballot images. On November 23rd, 2021, Randy Pullen, the Arizona State Liaison, was able to locate the bona fide ballot images from Ben Cotton, and arrangements were made for us to get it. Interesting enough, on August 23rd, 2021, I actually met with President Trump in Mar-a-Lago and informed him that Cyber Ninjas never gave us the ballot images. The interesting thing was President Trump asked, what are ballot images? So I had to explain that to him. So here's the potential victim of this situation. He didn't even know what ballot images were, nor had anyone informed him about it until I met with him on November 23rd. So in early December 2021, Ben Cotton, who's one of the people who participated in the audit, informed us that Cyber Ninjas always had the uncorrupted ballot images in their possession. And
so there's the answer for Donald Williams, is why he's claiming it. Donald Williams, fair question. He asks, how does Dr. Shiva know that Cyber Ninjas had the file the whole time? It looks like he was told that by Ben Cotton. Let me back it up again.
23rd. So in early December 2021, Ben Cotton, who's one of the people who participated in the audit, informed us that Cyber Ninjas always had the uncorrupted ballot images in their possession. And Cotton revealed that Cyber Ninjas had indeed sent uncorrupted ballot images to other parties back in June. So he was confused why we didn't get it.
They know, this is just my opinion, they know Dr. Shiva is the real deal, and he'll find whatever he needs to find, in my opinion. We'll see where it goes from now. Maybe there was nothing and I'm totally wrong. But if this is true, they had the data the whole time, gave it to other people, you're trying to avoid the guy that might actually do something with it, potentially.
On December 7th, when we finally received the uncorrupted ballot images from Ben Cotton, after the official audit by Cyber Ninjas had been completed. In testimony to the Arizona State Senate, Cyber Ninjas alleged that the ballot images were corrupted by the county. They had them in their possession. So on January 7th, within 4 weeks of getting it, we completed the ballot images and CVR analysis and presented the findings to the Arizona State Liaison. On January 22nd of this year.
So there's a law that Democrats passed 50 years ago to encourage audits. To request the audit of election. Like, I'm on YouTube afraid to talk about we want to audit an election. Do you know how insane that sounds?
The background for those of you who are new to this, Congress actually passed a law, in fact, by a Democrat majority about 50 years ago, to encourage audits. Audits, if you said you want to do an audit, no one should brand you as unpatriotic or you're trying to hurt the election systems. In fact, it's a good thing. So pursuant to 52 USC 20701, that's the law, it encourages citizens to conduct election audits. All records, in fact, per that law that are generated in connection with the federal election are supposed to be preserved, right? All records generated include ballot images and cast vote records. Now, ballot images include the which means the version done by the machine automatically, and post-adjudicated. So think about what happens. A ballot comes in, right? It goes in, it gets imaged, and then the machine is counting the votes. But if the machine, through its AI, cannot determine what's right, then it gets sent for human review. And after they review it, that's called post-adjudicated, okay?
We're dealing with AI. The thing that's counting these votes is not a person. It's artificial intelligence. They scan the ballot. Artificial intelligence decides who voted. And it's the algorithm. It's no different than if YouTube were doing counting the votes. You don't know what the YouTube algorithm is, do you? That's why everybody's out here guessing on my shadow band or that. It might not be. Your videos just might be whack. My thumbnails might just be whack. But we're all out here shook because you know how YouTube thinks, and we don't know what the algorithm is. When it comes to our elections, that can't be hidden. You can't hide the algorithm. That's got to be public. We own that. You can contract it out, but that coding should be open sourced and open and tracked, and we shouldn't even have to ask. You should be able to go to your state government website and see what the algorithm is. This is insanity. We don't even know who's counting the vote. We literally don't know who's counting the votes because it's basically a robot. It's a computer program that's counting the votes.
Now, the Election Systems Integrity Institute, in collaboration with EchoMail, is publishing the results of the ballot image and CVR analysis. That's what we're doing tonight. Of the 2,089,563 ballot images. All right. Now, this report documents the analysis we did, which was completed on January 7th. Now, in precincts and counties using electronic voting systems, the AI is used to analyze those images to tabulate the votes prior to adjudication. Okay. So what happens here is the machine looked at all those 2,089,000 plus ballots and figured out vote counts. Okay. The ones that it couldn't figure out, it was unsure about, those were put into a pile called adjudicated, which were reviewed by humans. Okay. But it's key to understand that the AI is doing this. Okay. Now, before electronic voting systems, election officials used humans, right, to review a ballot and determine vote counts, as well as what ballots need adjudication. So think about before, when we were doing hand counts, a human was told, okay, if you see it filled in all the way, that oval, that's a vote. If you see that filled in and another one filled in, that's called a overvote. If you see none of the ovals filled in, that's called an undervote. Okay. If you see some stray marks, they were given what rules to do. Suppose one oval, let's say for Trump, was filled in 50%, and for Biden, maybe it was filled in with just a little dot. Well, depending on what rules a human is told, they say, okay, that's a vote for Trump. The AI is now applying its algorithms. Does anyone know what those algorithms are? Where is that dictated? And that's what the heart of our investigation discovered. It's a very, very important issue.
Yeah. So there's no way to audit the election if you don't know how they're deciding which votes to count. It's possible to audit the election without knowing what the algorithm is. The algorithm is ours. And I don't live in Arizona, but if you live in Arizona, it should be yours. So let me go to the conclusion let me do a little bit of the process, and then I'll do a conclusion.
Again, let's look at this diagram here. For those of you who are joining, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and we're sharing with people, hot off the press, our audit of the ballot images from the Maricopa audit for the presidential race of 2020. And it's being done now was because we only got the ballot images on December 7th. Okay, so let's go over here. And what you see here is this is a system. Paper ballot comes in, the tabulators create a ballot image. The machine, in this case, the Dominion machine, used its artificial intelligence to figure out what those votes were and put it, and these are called pre-adjudicated in the cast vote records. Anything it thought it was an overvote, an undervote, a write-in, or ambiguous got sent to a human, and those humans reviewed those ballots, and they were adjudicated, and then you got the final canvass report. So the first thing we're going to walk you through is we looked at what was reported and what was in the CVR. This was just a mental check. Do these make sense? They should be perfect.
What we're seeing is where the real audit is done. It's not done when you're counting the votes. Counting the votes is before the ballots are scanned. He's doing the real auditing right now, where he's going to run it through his program to see if it matches theirs. So let me give you the conclusion.
But in closing, as I wrap this up, here are the conclusions. Again, why was analysis of ballot image and CVR not performed as first step in the Maricopa audit? Millions of taxpayer dollars and time could have been saved, and such effort could have been directed to real issues: chain of custody, signature verification, to advance election systems integrity. And as we shared, the EchoMail ballot image analysis identified 15,546 and 16,437 ballots that did not concur with Dominion's AI pre-adjudicated tabulation and the post-adjudicated tabulation, respectively. The audit, these paper ballots versus reviewing all the ballots. Next is, why are these 66,835 modified cards missing? I think we've talked about that, okay? Next is, when is a vote, given the inconsistent use of the is vote flag by the Dominion system? Next thing is, why?
What he's saying there is the is vote is the AI said this vote is for Orange Man. And for some reason, there were a few where it said this vote is for Orange Man, but it still went to post adjudication for someone to change it. Why did that happen? How did that happen? He's not accusing anybody of anything. He's looking at the data and just wants an explanation.
Why are any ballots, even one, being adjudicated for the presidential race when the original card was never flagged for adjudication? And we have 11 examples of those. Another one is, one important question that remains is, are the ballot images for analysis during election by Dominion AI different than the ballot images archived?
We don't even know if he has the same ballot images that the private company used. That's not their information. That is ours. And the fact that it's not our information or those in Arizona's information, that's a red flag. That we don't even need to talk about anything else. That's got to be fixed first. Anything that happens with the election is ours, period. I don't need to go to a court to ask you for something. Bro, when I come to your home, Dominion, give it to me, whatever it is. In fact, just post it online. That's the number one thing that we're learning from this. I'm going to end with another lesson. This is his opinion. We'll take it or leave it, but there's that there's going to be grifters, and he's going to talk about it here.
Dr. Shiva speaking.
Hi, I was just curious. I kind of missed the beginning of the broadcast, but I was
Yep.
wondering, did you happen to talk about like the kinematic artifacts that people were talking about at the beginning of all the audit? Just curious.
Yeah, it's a bunch of garbage. Okay, it's a grifter, and it's absolute garbage, and I think you should go explore that. I did a video on this, and it's
Okay.
There's people out there who've been grifting on this nonsense, and to distract the dedicated people from real stuff.
That's
And
kind of what I thought too.
oh, it's absolute just trash garbage.
Yeah, I kind
Okay.
of was
And
looking
the,
into it myself, and then I saw some of the previous, I don't know, books that the person had.
yeah,
written.
it's just garbage. I did a video on this. Okay, it's
Got that.
unfortunate because everyone is getting sucked in by this guy, whose
Yep.
actual name is Jeffrey Fulia. Okay, so go look at his name, and he has no expertise to even address this. But he's, people have been giving him money, and people should understand that this kind of stuff takes serious engineering, lot of real hard work, and people have been, frankly, bullshitting people.
Yep.
And this is why,
I fell for it a while ago. My discernment and ability to see through a lot of the stuff has come a long way.
yeah.
the
So
last
this
year.
is why the people who are deniers, the people who are grifters, in my view, are actually enabling the deniers. They're spreading disinformation. Really makes you wonder whether it's nefarious, because there are real elections systems integrity issues like the ones we talked about here. Okay.
Mhm.
There are real issues with chain of custody. There are real issues with signature verification. And the grifters and the politicians who are using those grifters, even on our stuff, have just made money off of it.
Yep.
Trump, frankly, raised $500 million. Where did that money go?
Exactly.
So we need to understand there are the real people doing real work like we do and not getting paid, okay? And the grifters who've been, whining about not being paid, but they've made millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's time that people call these people out. Cyber ninjas had these ballot images. They sent us corrupted stuff, and then they blame the county. So of course the county is going to get upset with them. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So people need to wake up that this is not left or right anymore.
Oh, no.
So the establishment wants to make this a left or right issue.
Mhm.
So all the real issues are put under the rug.
Exactly. Yep. It's-
There are
it's like-
serious issues with chain of custody. There's serious issues with signature verification. There is a serious policy issue here. You have AI technologies which are determining these things, and the legislators, they have all these bills there. This should be a bill that should be in there in every legislature in the United States.
So I'm going to end with this. There's discrepancies, there's disagreements here, but I would like to see, I find it odd. He's the one that didn't get paid. He's the one that did some of this stuff pro bono. He's the one who ran in Massachusetts and had concerns. And I have nothing against Trump. I have nothing against Mike Liddell, nothing against them. But I just don't understand why he isn't propped up more. He's just talking facts. And we all agree in the chat, even if we don't agree on Shiva versus this other person, because I got to read that stuff. I don't know all of it. He's talking about the ballots, where they folded or not. It looked legit to me, but I don't know. I'm not going to even do a video on it till I know more. I haven't even watched Shiva's video on it. But my point is, Shiva, we agree with what Shiva's saying. Let's just start there. Everything with the election is public, is ours. We all agree with that. So why isn't Trump on it? Liddell, Posevec, Wendy Rogers, MTG. Let's just start there. Why are we going into all this other stuff? That's my take. I got to get out of here, take my kid to swimming lessons. Sorry to end abruptly, but thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate you. Great discussion. Keep it going in the Discord if you can, if you have time. I didn't know it was going to go this long, but I hope it was a deep dive. But, I kind of like doing deep dives from time to time. Hopefully you found it meaningful. Take care. Appreciate you.